So creating a clean color application. That's one thing I really love building through and working with Julian is as much as he is technical and clean in hair cutting, I want to be that colorist. So we can easily go through and slam color on hair, no problem. But what's that experience we're creating for our guests at the color bar, recreating such a wonderful color service for them. So easily just taking those vertical sections, bringing that hair back away from the face, but it's a painting. This is your palette. So what does that look like? Very clean, very precise, but saturation is most important. That's why you see such those fine little sections to fully go in and knock it out in one step, rather than having to go back and reapply to fully saturate, right? So starting here in the shorter areas through the haircut, we're working through with our 5-stroke 4-6, 1 inch of stroke 6-6, and moving in with the 20 volume here to really make sure we're looking into that permanent end result of that beautiful raspberry shade. So easily just bringing that back away from the face, clean, very beautiful color saturation. We did go through here on Samantha yesterday during our rehearsal and did a nice color balance, being that this is her first introduction to Color XG, and she had previous color history. So just that nice gentle wash to fully get out of anything that maybe hasn't fully processed in its previous color service. That way we can have our true end result here to represent our Camilla color. So as we're looking into our classes we're working through within the salon, picking that candidate, that model, really making sure we understand what previous color histories has been involved, setting ourselves up to win as well. So that color balance most times is going to be necessary with those guests who this is their first intro to Color XG.
One thing I want you to look at also, you've seen it on the video, you're watching her do it. When you have the pleasure to watch Heather, when you have the pleasure to watch Mary apply color, is there not a different standard? I believe what I'm seeing is the standard of how we at Paul Mitchell wish and guide the standard of application. So that's one thing we really want to stress looking at today. It's not put it on the head. Heather just said that beautifully. It's what you look like doing it. And that's what we want to help grow your vision.
Okay, so working through this first side, right? I'm just about to the point where I'm going to move into layering, right? So I'm still graduating the hair. So my elevation is coming down. So how far down do you go?
Down. 1 degree. 1 degree?
Down. All right.
To previous?
Depends on the hair, doesn't it? I'm giving you a trick question, right? It depends on the hair that you have in front of you, right? So we have quite a bit of hair here, don't we?
She's got a ton, yeah?
So my elevation is happening quicker. If I had a head of hair that was fine fabric, my elevation is going to happen a little bit slower, right? But it's understanding these things that give you the understanding that's going to make her look beautiful, or whomever's in your chair, right? So we know we're coming down, but I'm lifting based on what I have in front of me and what I see. Right? Now, as I'm lifting higher, the sectioning goes from a more horizontal line to a more vertical line. And that's the transition that we have between graduation and layers. Horizontal builds weight, vertical removes weight. So the transition that happens in between the two is what gives you the liquid motion, right? When you think about liquid motion, what do you think about? Fluidity, movement, waves, right? So we don't want big corners. So that transition is key in making the haircut have the movement that we want, that's going to, work with the cut, work with the color, work with the style, right? Now, I wanted to bring you just to this last section here before I start to go through the sides. And at this point, I'm blended from the section on the first side. So you see how this works together? I'm going to tilt her head back. Okay? So that's what I'm aiming for, right? That clean transition from the one side to the other. Now, as I work forward, all the sections will stay parallel to that line. I section this off. On both sides. That's what we want to see. Right? That's what we're aiming for when we hit that point. Now, from that point on, from that point forward, we're going to say I'm layering the hair. So I graduated up until that point, now moving into layers. So you can see my elevation is here. What else did I change? My hand and body position, yeah? So I'm lifting now, aren't I? I'm up. Right? We talked about this yesterday. Doug back there is a lot taller than me. Right? So he may still be inside his hands. I have to be over my knuckles. Right? So the body position will be individual, but at this point we should be lifting that hair up. If I'm teaching it, at that point, I want my students to be over the knuckles. Working with the guideline. Now as I come down, I transition back to inside my fingers. It's like magic.
Natural.
Every time I hit the point behind the ear, my hand's in contact with her shoulder. Right? If I'm touching the shoulder, I know that I'm building that line. If I'm not touching the shoulder, I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm not sure where I am. So I start from here, here. Right? Right. Forward leg, step back. Right? It's going to make you pull down. Now, could that be 3 motions for some people? Yeah.